Hi all, welcome to your final assignment. To access the group implementation guide, you'll go to the Getting Started module and scroll all the way down to your group implementation guide. You can click on this and access the written directions. I am going to be going over these. Of course, if something is unclear, you are welcome to email me or set up a meeting. But as we have already discussed in the team charter, you are going to be grouped in either a group of 4 or 5 students. You're going to be working together to create this implementation guide, and you are going to make sure it is completely fine if you use the previous work that you have already created in order to make the best project definition document, the best work breakdown structure, and the best communications plan. There should be alignment between those documents because you will need to be talking about the same philanthropy. However, many of the tasks will be the same or can be close to the same, so you can easily align all 3 documents to make sure that they make sense for your team's decided 5K distance, location, and philanthropy. You can use what's really important to note here is that if you use student 1's project definition document and they have the Komen Foundation that they're raising money for, and student 2, you're using their work breakdown structure for the March of Dimes, that you do not need to, you need to make sure that you pick one philanthropy and that there is alignment and that you're talking about goals and objectives in your project definition document. I should be able to see that those are reflected in the work breakdown structure as well. So you have really this is the final project. This will be all of your work, of course, elaborated on and completed with additional essential project definition documents for the semester. But hopefully you have a really firm understanding of the work that would need to take place in order to actually implement a 5K and walking through the actual details of the 5K. You can see here as you go down through what is required for this assignment, the cover sheet, table of contents, and of course project definition document. You will use the best project definition document from your group. Again, make sure that it aligns with all other documents and make sure that it has been corrected based on my feedback. You will also need to make sure that you describe the 5K and that you will need to make sure that the location is I can very well understand and know where the location is in Memphis, where it will be run and walked, the target population who is going to be completing your 5K, what the philanthropy is, and the expected benefit of the 5K. As you might remember, these are usually included in the first 2 sections of your project definition document, but make sure that those items have been corrected if you did lose points on them originally. And make sure to indicate whose project definition document you used in this section, because I want to make sure that there is alignment among these documents. All right, work breakdown structure and the time estimation. Make sure you are including whose work breakdown structure you used. You'll also include a brief paragraph communicating to the organization how many total hours per week they can expect to devote to this project or program. So, in terms of if you were actually pitching your project management skills, you would be showcasing what you could do in order to implement another project. So this would really be a bit of a sales pitch of how much work we have devoted to this 5K project in order to help us gain additional work in terms of project management and race management. For your next item that you'll need resources. These are all the resources that you will need for your entire project. You want to think through every phase. You are going to categorize them by phases. So thinking through every phase, what are the phases? What will you need based on which phase? Make sure you include which phase that is. Think through and make sure you include all human resources, and this should come from your work breakdown structure time estimation. And this can also be number of staff members or volunteers. How many people will you need to actually get this project done? And what are the resources, the actual physical resources that you will need in order to get your 5K off the ground and launched? Your schedule. This will be presented in a calendar format with real dates. Now, there are so many free templates online, so I want you to use your resources. I have given you templates for your other assignments. You are going to be responsible for the calendar format this time. You will pick a calendar, a free calendar, and you will include all work breakdown structure tasks, who is responsible for those tasks, for example, their title such as project manager or project staff. You will also include all the communication items that you categorized in your communications plan. This will also span the entire life cycle of the project, from planning. So erase that right here, but this will be planning, implementation, and then of course post-implementation. So please make sure that you are showing me all three phases of the project yet again. The risk assessment. The risk assessment is showcased how to do it in the module where I discuss risk assessment. There is a video giving an entire example risk assessment. You will be following the directions in that. You will actually be following the directions in that module. So make sure to walk through that. If you have questions about it, please email me, but I walk through an entire example and you'll be looking at risk factors for your 5K. Okay. Communications plan, again, include whose communication plan you will actually use. And then you'll need to, and it should also be corrected. So if you did really well on it, or if you didn't do really well on it, make sure that you are reading through my feedback when I graded it so that you can make those corrections so that you can earn your full points here. You'll then have a sample communications item. What this looks like is you'll provide one form of sample communications for your project. It will be a sample implementation agenda meeting. The agenda will be created by the project manager or race director to guide his or her early morning meeting with the staff members on race day, aka this is your communications with your staff members right before the race begins. Okay, so early morning when y'all are all gathered on site to implement the actual 5K, you are thinking about what items should be applied here, what communication items would need to be discussed here. You are going to make sure you are applying good communication practices as outlined in Module 8. Thinking through this, the agenda should be between 10 to 15 key messages to convey. So, for example, you will need to make sure that you are putting something more than just marketing. You would need to make sure, like if someone was responsible for your social media the actual day of the 5K, there would be a lot more that would be needed except just marketing or social media. You would need to make sure you are thinking through what would I need to communicate the actual day of the race in regards to social media. And make sure to refer to your work breakdown structure and or communication plan for what would need to be discussed. Many of you highlighted what key messages would need to be discussed the actual day of the race. So if you did not, make sure you are thinking through what would the actual race day look like. What items would I need to communicate with my staff members, to my staff members, with them before we started the actual schedule of race day. All right. And then of course, grammar and formatting. This is really professionalism of writing, making sure that all of the important sections, all of these sections, the headings, the subheadings, everything is very professional and looks real world. It should be in a PDF format and making sure that you are submitting one document to the Dropbox. This is also about making sure that I can clearly see the actual phases of the project, that it is very clearly identified as the planning phase, the implementation phase, and the post-implementation evaluation phase. This is something we have practiced throughout this entire course, and I want to make sure that I can see all of these important phases of the project. You'll also see, you will also need to make sure all documents should refer to the same 5K, the same location, the exact same philanthropy. I should see that all members have this working knowledge that they are working towards a particular philanthropy, raising money for that philanthropy, and that is going to be in one location in Memphis, and that you are going to be completing. The project is the hypothetical 5K. Please make sure you are thinking through all of these details. One other thing I want to make sure, the risk assessment, I do want you to make sure you understand where you can find the video for that. So if you go up here, content, and then you will scroll all the way down. You'll scroll all the way down to module 11, and you'll be able to see example risk assessment. Of course, please let me know if you have questions after you watch that, but it is under module 11, so you'll be able to access it there. But this is really your overview of the group implementation guide. Please let me know if you have questions about it. But like I said, use your resources, use what is available to you. This is not a difficult project. It will require thought and preparation. So please make sure you are devoting that time to it. You can click up here if you want to access the rubric. Go all the way from assessments to rubrics, and then click on Group Implementation Guide. I highly recommend reading through all of these boxes here to make sure that you are following the directions, that you are doing this project to the best of your ability. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing some fantastic documents. Thanks.